Hello? Is this thing on? Okay. Hey guys, I am back. So here's the deal. I have been kind of neglecting YouTube lately. I've been posting a lot of stuff on the Bad Luck Garage Instagram, posting a lot of stuff on the Bad Luck Garage Facebook page, and it occurred to me today, all the stuff I've gotten done, I've been posting pictures and little video clips on Instagram and Facebook, but I have not made a video going over any of this stuff. So that's what I wanted to do, is for those of you who haven't followed the page on Instagram, and you're not in the Bad Luck Garage Facebook group, I figured I'd make a little video, just kind of show you what's been going on. Because I haven't been really making a lot of, well, I hadn't been making any like step-by-step videos lately. Like I said, I've not had a lot of time, guys, so I've kind of just been coming out here when I do have time, trying to get something done, and it's not really been enough that I felt it was worthy of, you know, doing a video as I went along. So I've just been posting the little videos and the pictures, stuff like that on the Facebook group and the Instagram page. But this is for all you guys who don't follow those pages for whatever reason. I'm going to show you what I've been getting done little by little. So the first thing you're going to notice is we've got the intake sitting on the engine here. It's not bolted down. This is up here for mock-up purposes. And you might also notice that I've got the engine harness ran, and everything's plugged in with the exception of, you know, like the coil packs aren't plugged in because I don't have those sitting on here. And over here on this side, you know, obviously I don't have the fuel pressure sensor, and I don't have the IAT sensor, or the manifold temperature sensor as Holly calls it, but everything else is plugged in. And the reason for that is I just wanted to make sure everything was going to fit. I know I had one of you guys had posted a comment saying that the fuel rail on the truck manifold would interfere with the windshield wiper motor. Well, as you can see, I've got all kinds of room there, guys. Like, there's no issue with that. Try to get it from a different angle. You can see there's all kinds of room all around there, so that's not a big deal. I'd also heard someone else say that they wanted to mount, they were doing a Terminator X setup. This is the Holley HP, but they both use the same harness. And they were saying that the harness was not long enough to follow the factory harness routing and put the PCM, you know, where the factory ECU was. So that's not the case with me, guys. This actually works out perfect. As I've already said, everything's plugged in here. And I was able, you know, the heater box will be right here, and I was able to run this Holley harness right along the top of the heater box where the factory harness was ran, and it goes into the firewall right here, and it goes through, and it comes into the car right where the factory harness did. And the factory PCM is actually mounted up in there. This is the factory PCM right here, or ECU right here. Well, that's where we're going to put our Holley ECU. We're going to put it where this factory ECU was. And I actually have more than enough wire to reach. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be pushing some of that back through into the wheel well, because it's only got to go to right here. So yeah, that's all going to work out really nice. A couple other little tidbits. I don't know if I covered this already in another video, but our 3-bar map sensor. These Camaros actually used one of these rectangular style map sensors. All the cars back in the 80s and 90s did. So it already had this mounting bracket right here for that style of map sensor. So I just took the 1-bar map sensor for the V6 engine off the bracket, and I put the 3-bar map sensor on it. So, you know, we're not going to have to worry about where we're going to mount that. And I've actually got it plugged in. You can see that the harness is plugged into it. I've got a vacuum line here that is going to get a nipple much like this one, and it's going to plug into the back of it there. So that's all good. And then last night like I posted on Facebook and Instagram last night, I went ahead and I shoved the Turbo 350 transmission up in here that we did the full manual conversion on in a previous video. Now, I've got a little issue going on I'm going to go over in a minute, but first I want to say, guys, for years I have been doing the balancing act. You've seen me do it several times on the channel with everything from 4L80s, Turbo 400s, what have you. I do the balancing act on a regular jack. Well, in typical Ray fashion, I was telling Uncle Ray that I was planning to go to Harbor Freight and get one of these jacks when I got paid. So like I just said, in typical Ray fashion, what does he do? He shows up at my front door Saturday morning and brings me this jack. So he wasn't going to wait on me to get paid. He wanted me to go ahead and throw this transmission in. So guys, this jack is awesome. You can get it with a coupon. For those of you who don't know, from Harbor Freight, they usually do a coupon for like $69 or $79 for this trans jack, and it is the freaking bomb, guys. You just, you know, it's got this big surface area right here to balance the pan on, and then once you get the transmission sitting on top of it, you just run the strap over the top of it and ratchet strap it down so you can move it around, slam it against the engine, do whatever you got to do, and it's not going to fall off the jack. I honestly don't know why I waited so many years to get one of these, but yeah, it makes this job way easier, especially when you're doing it by yourself. Now, the only thing is, this is like 7 inches off the ground, and I couldn't get my car high enough off the ground because I don't have a lift to set the transmission on there and then roll it under the car. So I had to put the transmission on it while it was under the car, you know, and underneath the tunnel here. So what I ended up doing, just for those of you who want to know, is I took my regular low profile jack, I had the wife slide it under here, and I scooted the transmission up onto it. I had her jack it up 8 inches, and then I just put this stand against it and just slid the transmission over onto this stand. You know, it was easy peasy, guys. It wasn't hard at all. And like I said, once it's strapped down to this stand, you know, it makes it just super easy to maneuver it anywhere. Now, the problem I currently have, and it's not a huge problem, I'm going to tell you kind of how I'm dealing with it, is you'll notice I don't have the transmission or the torque converter bolted to the flex plate right now. So what's going on with that is the engine is sitting crooked in the engine bay. Okay, so because I've went ahead and slid the drive shaft in and bolted everything in, except for these bolts that go under here, because obviously I can't line them up right now. Because I've done that, I can't really maneuver the transmission around to bolt the other side on. I have 2 bell housing bolts on the passenger side, but the engine is sitting crooked with the passenger side further back, so that's not really allowing me to, you know, swing the transmission around and get the bell housing bolts in the driver's side. That's not a big deal. The thing I've worked out, see, here's what happened, guys. If you remember a few videos back, or actually I don't even know if it was in a video, I'm just going to be honest, I've been putting a lot more out on Instagram and Facebook than I have in these YouTube videos lately. So I may have just talked about it on YouTube or Instagram, but the problem I had, I couldn't get the engine mounts to align right. And one of you guys actually suggested that I take my engine mounts loose at the K member and let them move around so I could get, you know, the mount bolts to slide through here. So that's what I did. The problem is, when I loosened them, this side, you can kind of see the slot here. The top of this mount has slid all the way back, and I could not, like, I tried to pry it, but I'm out here by myself, guys, and I couldn't get it to pry all the way back forward. And then even if I did, after I pried it back forward, I would have to get underneath it where I could hold a wrench on the back side of this bolt and tighten this nut down at the same time. So the only solution I've worked out working on this by myself is I need to get a small ratchet strap, tie the ratchet strap around this mount. I have not removed our front sway bar yet, so I could tie the other end of the ratchet strap around here and ratchet this side of the engine forward to straighten the engine up and give me the, you know, the correct amount of firewall clearance I need. But to get the engine sitting straight in the engine bay again, and then while the ratchet strap's holding it, I should be able to go under there, tighten these two bolts back down. If you remember these UMI mounts, there was no hole here where they said it was going to be. So I've only got two bolts holding this mount in. So I need to, you know, ratchet it, tighten those down. Then I should be able to get the transmission, you know, finished getting it mated up, bolt the torque converter up, and all that jazz. Now, what I'd planned on doing is I was going to make a video installing the Holley setup. I'd originally just planned to be doing like a mock-up the way I have it now, but I don't know that I'm going to pull the engine back out immediately. I may just, once I get that mount straightened back up, I may leave it for the time being just so I can finish up all the wiring and everything. The reason I haven't made the video on installing all the Holley stuff yet is I was ready to make that video, and then I realized something. Before I can do the video hooking up the Holley, I have got to first go through my original V6 engine harness here and rip out everything I don't need. I'm not going to go through that in this video. Actually, that'll probably be the next video I made, or I make. But what's going to happen, guys, is you see this mess, like all these wires. Basically, when I'm finished with this, you can see all the wires going through this right now. When I'm finished with this, all you're going to have is a few hot wires and like the wires for the gauges, and that's pretty much going to be it. So yeah, I got a lot of work to do on that. I'm going to do that in its own video, and then once I get that done, then we'll get the Holley stuff all hooked up, wired in, and at that point we'll be doing the battery relocation to the back of the car. I think I've got most everything I need for that, and yeah, so that's pretty much the extent of that, guys. Like the next probably 3 or 4 videos you see on Chaos Theory, it's all going to be wiring videos, guys. It's going to be I'm going to do a video showing you guys how to strip down, or at least showing you how I'm going to strip down this factory harness to use for the LS swap. You know, everybody's going to be different, guys. It's going to depend on what you want to keep, what you want to get rid of. Because this is primarily a race car build, I'm going to be getting rid of a lot of stuff out of this harness, but not as much as your typical race car build, because I'm going to be keeping the wiring for the heater. I'm going to be keeping the wiring for the factory gauges, but like the cooling fans, all that's getting stripped out of this harness. They're going to be on their own leg. They're going to be controlled by the Holley unit. Yeah, so that's it, guys. Next video will probably be this harness. After that will be the Holley install. After that will be relocating the battery to the back of the car. After that, we're going to do the temporary, I'm calling it temporary fuel system, because starting off, I'm going to leave the factory fuel lines in place. We're going to drop the fuel tank back there, and I'm actually going to install the 340 pump that my buddy Zane sent me to test out. You know, it's a cheap like Amazon 340 pump. We're going to see if it actually does what it's supposed to. We'll have the Holley monitoring fuel pressure, so if that pump doesn't actually live up to what it's supposed to live up to, we'll have the Holley as a safety to, you know, shut down nitrous or whatever, you know, in case it starts to run out of fuel pressure or something. But initially, that's what we're going to do. We got a 3/8 line here, guys. This 3/8 line, and it's 3/8 all the way back. That's more than enough. I mean, you know, you can run a 3/8, which is the same inside diameter pretty much as a Dash 6. You can run that up to 800 horsepower, guys, no problem, as long as you got enough pump. But we're going to leave that in place as long as we can. Somewhere down the road, we'll be switching to probably dual 525 pumps and, you know, switching over to Dash 8 lines. But, you know, I want to get this running. I've not had a lot of time to work on it. Yeah, something else, guys. I don't know if you've heard of Matt Rice. He owns DNR Auto. He actually is starting or has already really started a line of plumbing products, you know, fuel lines, fittings, things like that, called Shipbox Supply. I was really hoping to, you know, be able to test out some of his fittings and lines right off the bat on this build, and I've been waiting now for a while, hoping, you know, that he would be able to get everything together. And it's not his fault, guys. Like, what's going on is, you know, they're coming from China, and obviously with everything going on right now with the coronavirus and all that, you know, his order has just been getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And I'm still holding out hope, but, you know, I need to start getting this together soon. So what I might do is, for the time being, I might just use some fittings I already have and order some different line, because honestly, guys, for right now, I've already got the fittings to adapt these to Dash 6. So all I need is 2 Dash 6 fittings, the lines to go over here, the 2 Dash 6 adapters for the fuel rail and the return rail here, and then, you know, the Dash 6 fittings to go on the lines there. So, you know, I wouldn't be using a lot of his stuff at this stage anyway. So what I might do is end up just going ahead and getting what I need from somewhere else to initially get this thing running. And then maybe when we go to switch over and run all new lines to the back and everything with the Dash 8 stuff, maybe I can get with Matt then and, you know, get it all figured out where I can get some of those Shipbox Supply products in here to test at that point. We'll just have to see, guys. Like I said, it depends on whether or not his supplier can start getting him the stuff here before I need it. One final thing I did want to go over is the situation with the transmission in the China Vet. First, I guess I didn't make it clear what the problem was in the last video, but look, guys, the issue I'm having, it's only at part throttle, and I'm wondering, I've not been able to jack the car up. I've had my jack and all my jack stands tied up under this car for a while now. What I need to do is go out there and jack up the ass end of the China Vet and take a look at the transmission, because I can look under there and it looks like maybe some transmission fluid is leaking on the rear suspension cradle, which, for those of you who don't know, the transmission's in the back on a C5 Corvette. So I need to go jack it up and get a good look, because I'm almost thinking what may have happened is possibly when I did the servo, if you remember from that video, it was a real pain in the ass to get up there to it. And I'm starting to doubt myself and think maybe I didn't get the retaining ring around the servo cover in all the way, and possibly the servo cover has popped out a little bit, which would kind of, it would kind of make sense, guys, because like I said, at wide open throttle, the thing's still shifting perfect. The problem is at part throttle, it acts like the band's slipping. You know, it's just a long, drug out 1-2 shift at part throttle. So I'm hoping that's all it is. Maybe that servo cover has backed out some. Maybe the retaining ring wasn't in there, but I won't know till I get the car jacked up. You know, I do have to work this coming weekend, but, you know, maybe one day after work this week, because I don't, now that the transmission's bolted up here, I don't have my big jack holding the back of the engine up anymore. So maybe I can get out there this week and just jack the car up, slide under it, and just take a peek around and see what's going on. I would love for it to be something simple like that, because like I said, guys, we were so close to hitting that goal, that 6 seconds in the 8th mile, you know, for less than $1,500. I really want to finish and hit that goal if possible, because once I pull that transmission out, guys, Like, there's no if, and, or but about it. It's getting either a Performa-Built or a RPM transmission, performance transmission. Like, I'm not even going to fuck around with it. I'm not going to fuck around with rebuilding it myself. I'm going to go ahead, plan on spending about $3,000 and get the good shit so I don't have to fuck with it anymore. Because if you want me to be dead honest with you, that car doesn't really appeal to me, guys. I bought that car for a certain reason that I've discussed over and over. But half the reason I bought it was for the wife. She drives that thing all the time. She loves that car. So I don't want to have to worry about it fucking up because I like to beat on it on the weekends. But I'm more concerned right now with this car, but I want to get the China-Vet going if possible, just so the wife can continue driving it because she enjoys driving it. I already feel like I've proved my point, guys. You know, you don't have to spend, even if you drive a Corvette, you don't have to spend a shitload of money to go fast. You just don't. You know, everything can be done on a budget. That was the whole point of that build. But the whole Corvette thing, it's just not me, guys. That car is not me. This car is me. Steppenwolf was me. The DR Nova, even though I don't technically own it, well, I don't own it at all. You know, that car is more me. The China Vet is more my wife. You know, that's not really who I am, guys. I've never really been a Corvette guy. I've always been a Camaro guy. Always been a muscle car guy. Don't get me wrong. I love the car. I love beating on it, love thrashing on it, but it's just not, it doesn't represent me as a person, I guess is what I'm saying. But anyway, that's what's going on, guys. Like I said, not a whole lot of progress, but we have made some progress. You guys follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Again, you already know all this. So this is nothing I've said in this video is new to you guys, but this is for everybody who, you know, they just watch the videos, but they don't really follow me on any other social media. So that's pretty much it. Get out in the garage, get something done, and I'll see you next time here on Bad Luck Garage.